So I'm out doing a shakedown run on the 80. I did about 100, just under 100 road miles. Did a big loop. And now I'm up and just doing a little bit of off-road so I can get some vibration, some shaking, some articulation, stuff like that. Make sure that nothing's gonna fall off after all the work I did. I got a funny little story for you guys. It's not that funny, but it is now. So I do all the work on this myself. 97 Toyota Land Cruiser 80 series. I do all the work on it myself. And after I did the 3-inch lift, the only real thing you need to do after that is get an alignment. So I said, okay, I'll take it to the off-road shop to get an alignment, because they got the alignment rack, the lasers and all that crap they put on there. And I may have mentioned it, you may have heard it in another video, but I talked about possibly getting some new tie rod ends and just having them in case they said, hey, your ball joints on your tie rod ends are worn out. While we're here, we'll replace them, and then it gets aligned right at the same time. But I didn't do that. I didn't get them. I was going to. They were out of stock. They came back in stock, but I didn't think I'd get them in time, so I didn't do that. Well, I take it there, and I get a call like an hour or two later saying that they can't, the tie rod and the relay rod, they're frozen. They can't get the pinch. So the design of it is it threads into the rod and then it pinches the threads. It's got like slots in it. You know, it's a thread pincher to hold it in place. And they couldn't move it no matter what. And I'm thinking, well, okay. I mean, I know it's an old vehicle, but as I said, I just did a 3-inch lift on here, which basically I unbolted a ton of bolts, and I didn't have any rust or you know, any issues like that at all. There was no problems. But I'm not saying they were lying to me, because they obviously couldn't do it. They would have done it if they could. So I said, fine, I'll come get it and I'll figure out what I'm gonna do. Well, I went and picked it up. It's about 15 miles from my house and back one way, so 30 miles. I got home, went underneath it to look and brainstorm, see what I wanted to do, and they didn't tighten the damn bolts back down. So there's a bolt that you loosen, which will open up that pinch on the threads. They didn't tighten them back down. Now, it didn't move because apparently it is frozen in place. Thank goodness for that. But they left all four. There's two. There's a relay rod, one going from the steering to one tire, and then one rod connecting the two. They were all loose. And what if it all of a sudden wanted to move? That's your whole steering. I could have, whatever. But it just made me think that, wow, that's pretty unprofessional, you know? Like, how could you do that? Even though you couldn't do the job, just snug the bolts back up. So after that, I decided, screw it. You know, I've been doing everything myself on this one because I enjoy doing it too. I trust my work more than other people's work, you know? At least if it fails, I know to blame myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but blame myself. So I did some research. I get a really good deal on Toyota parts from my local dealer. I get, you know, they have their net to then, I get a good price because I double check my price against online prices, and it's always less. And I never have to pay for shipping. The only thing I get to pay tax, where some places online will tax you, some won't. Anyway, it was going to be about $270 to get all four tie rod ends, right? One of them, you know, left, right, threads. One of them has the part for the steering stabilizer. So, and those are genuine Toyota from Toyota. But then I found this one from Marlin Crawler that does new DOM tubing, and instead of using the pinch design for the threads, they use jam nuts, which are like on the Jeep, on a pretty typical on a lot of off-road vehicles. So, and I could get it for 250 bucks. So I could get basically new rods and all Japanese rod ends. Now they're not OEM Toyota, but they're made by a Japanese manufacturer. I think it's called 555 or something like that. And they, they seem to be good. And they have the correct one where the steering dampener goes in. It's not kind of the one where you have to use U-bolts or anything. It's factory style. So that worked good. So I ended up getting that kit for less than I could just buy the 4, because here's what I was thinking. If they're frozen in there, what if I mess up the threads, ripping these things apart? So I got heavier duty DOM tube with jam nuts and all new rod ends, or all new tie rod ends, ball joints, for 250 bucks, cheaper than I could just buy the 4. So I did that, and I did the alignment myself. I said, screw it. Because on these, the only real thing you're doing on a solid front axle tight like this is you're doing the toe in of the tires. The caster's set by the radius arms, the camber's set by the knuckles. If something's way out on that, you're gonna have to go in and do something major. You're not making an adjustment. But with the toe, you're making an adjustment. So for 40 bucks, I was able to get I was gonna use like a 2x4 or just go get some angle iron, and you can put it on each wheel and you measure front and back. But they have these plates that bolt onto your studs, and I could put a tape measure across front and back. And I fine-tuned that thing down to like a 32nd of an inch. And it's just slightly towed in, which is apparently what it's supposed to be. A 16th to an 1/8 or something like that towed in. And I got it there. They say the bigger the tires, you can go a little bit more, but they were saying at the alignment place that it was, I said, well, how bad was it? Can I drive it around? They said, oh, it's pretty badly towed in. Well, whatever. I measured, I put everything back on the same as it was before, and it was literally almost perfect just by measuring the old ones and running everything in. So long story super long, I did the alignment myself, and now I'm out testing it. I'm not testing, I'm just putting miles on, and I made marks everywhere, see how everything works out.